Welcome to the deep dive.
Hey there.
Our mission, well, it's pretty simple. We take the sources you send us, could be articles, notes, research, you name it, and we cut through all the noise.
Yeah, we pull out the key stuff, the insights that, really matter.
Exactly. We give you that shortcut to being genuinely well-informed on the topic. Think of it as getting straight to the good parts.
We're kind of your guides through the material you share, helping you see what's most important and why it's relevant for you.
Precisely. And today, wow, we've got a really interesting deep dive lined up. The source material you sent in, it's incredibly rich.
It really is.
It's mainly an English language learning resource. Looks like maybe a script from a master class or a big video lesson.
Seems like it, yeah. It covers, well, everything. Pronunciation, idioms, grammar points, some really tricky words.
And even communication strategies like frameworks for small talk, practical stuff.
And interestingly, embedded within that lesson are these examples from actual news articles.
Right. One on Canada's population growth hitting a milestone, and another about the Colosseum in Rome, asking if it's, crumbling.
So, two distinct pieces of content used to illustrate the language points.
So our mission for this deep dive, it's kind of layered. We're going to unpack the best techniques, the most useful phrases and insights from that language resource.
The goal being to help you boost your English skills, get the nuances, and just feel more confident in conversations.
Definitely. And sort of as a bonus, we'll pull out the main info from those news examples too. See how the language actually works in context, bringing those stories to life.
So it's really a deep dive into all this material you sent for your benefit, getting the most potent knowledge out.
Getting the good stuff. Okay, let's jump right in then. The source kicks off with something, well, really fundamental, but maybe often overlooked when you're learning a language.
Which is?
How native speakers actually sound, when they're talking naturally at a normal pace. It's all about tuning your ear.
Yeah. Recognizing that spoken English isn't just the written word read aloud, it's different.
Exactly. This first part, tuning your ear, the source calls it, is so important. It really stresses the gap between textbook English and real-world spoken English.
And it pushes immersive listening, repetition, getting used to the real sounds.
And a huge part of that is noticing these reduced sounds. Like the example they give is going to. In fast speech, it rarely sounds like two separate words.
Right, becomes gonna. That's the common one.
Or sometimes, as the source points out, even faster, like a really quick get-a.
Yeah, almost slurred together. And these little shifts, they're subtle, but they're absolutely vital if you want to catch the rhythm, the cadence of natural speech.
It's not just whole phrases either, is it? Individual sounds get tweaked too.
Totally. The source uses your, the possessive, as an example. Often it's unstressed, right? So it gets reduced to this tiny little sound.
Almost like a puff of air, like you said, from the back of the throat.
Kind of, yeah. Just a quick year. And the insight there is, if you recognize these weak, unstressed sounds, your brain doesn't have to work so hard on them.
So you can focus more on the important words, the nouns, verbs, adjectives.
Exactly. The content words that carry the actual meaning. It helps you filter the signal from the noise, in a way.
Makes sense. You don't need to emphasize every single little word to get the message across.
You really don't. The source also mentions how words can just merge together in rapid conversation.
Oh yeah, that can definitely trip learners up.
For sure. Like, what are you becoming? Whatcha?
Or even just what are. Happens all the time.
Or another example they had was chewed me out blending. So it sounds more like chewed you out.
Right. It sounds almost like one word.
And it's not sloppy speech either. It's just, well, it's how connected speech works naturally.
The letter T gets special attention in the source. It's presented as like a real chameleon. It changes its sound constantly.
It really does. A key concept they explain is the flap T. You hear this a lot in American English especially.
Okay, what's that?
When a T sound comes between two vowel sounds, it often softens. It sounds less like a sharp T and more like a soft D, or even sometimes a quick R sound.
Okay. Like in get it, it sounds like get it.
Exactly, or city sounding like city.
Right. I hear that all the time. Understanding that flap T is probably one of the quickest ways to, well, not just sound more natural yourself, but actually understand people when they're talking fast.
Absolutely crucial for comprehension. And the source points out other T's variations too, like a T at the end of a word. It might soften if the next word starts with, say, a vowel or certain consonants.
Like in set in stone.
Yeah, that's the example. That T in set might sound almost like an ED sound, like set in stone or almost satin stone. It depends on the flow. Context matters.
Wow. It's amazing how much one letter can shift depending on what's around it.
It really shows you're not just learning sounds in isolation. You're learning how they interact, how they blend and change in the stream of speech.
Yeah. The source also touches on silent letters. Those are always tricky, aren't they?
Yeah.
For pronunciation and spelling.
Definitely. The classic example given is the word dodge. D-O-D-G-E.
Right. You don't say that middle D at all. It's just dodge.
Completely silent. Being aware of these helps you say the words right, obviously, but also reinforces the correct spelling when you write.
So the source, this masterclass script, it then lists a whole bunch of specific examples of these sound changes, these blendings. It's quite a list.
Yeah, things like give it, becoming give it.
Going to, becoming gonna. We mentioned that.
Have to, becoming have to.
Need to. Often reducing to just need to, like the T almost disappears.
Chewed me out, blending into chewed you out.
Nailed down, merging, sounding like nailed down.
Tossing and turning, you often drop the G sound, right? Tossing and turning, and the D and N might blend.
Oh yeah, the G dropping is super common. Then what do you have on the go? Shrinking down to wadya, or what you have on the go?
I got a lot on my plate. That gotta becomes gotta. I got a lot on my plate.
And that incredibly common one, let me know, turning into let me know.
Let me know. Standard.
Yeah.
And another pattern they point out, which we see all the time in casual questions.
What's that?
Dropping auxiliary verbs. So instead of saying, are you going to the party? You might just hear, you going to the party, or even shorter.
Like the example, any big plans this summer? Instead of, do you have any big plans?
Exactly. Any plans, very common shortcut.
It's just, it feels more natural in conversation, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Less formal.
Totally. So the big takeaway from this whole first section for you listening is that recognizing these patterns, the reduced sounds, the merged words, the changing letters like the T, it isn't just about trying to sound like a native speaker.
No, it's more fundamental than that, right?
It's absolutely fundamental to understanding fast, natural speech when you hear it. Your ear needs to be tuned into this rhythm, this flow, not just expecting perfect, isolated words like in a textbook.
Yeah, you've got to decode what's actually being said, not what you think should be said based on the spelling.
It's a crucial first step, decoding real spoken English.
Okay, absolutely vital. So once your ear is starting to get tuned in, the next big hurdle, or maybe opportunity, is understanding all those colorful expressions native speakers sprinkle into their conversations constantly.
Ah, yes, the idioms and phrasal verbs.
Exactly. The stuff that doesn't always mean what the individual words seem to suggest. And this section in the source material, wow, it is extensive. Loads of practical phrases.
And these are just essential, aren't they? Both for sounding more natural yourself, but also just for understanding the nuances, the things that literal translations completely miss.
Totally. Let's dive into some of the key ones highlighted in the source. They cover a lot.
Okay, where should we start?
How about a simple, friendly one? Give me a shout.
Give me a shout. Yeah, that's just a very casual way to say, call me or get in touch, let me know. The word shout here isn't literal yelling, obviously.
Right, just informal for contact.
Yeah.
Got it. How about figure it out? Seems common.
Very common. To figure it out just means to solve a problem or to understand something, to find the answer.
And the source actually uses this one as an example to talk about grammar, too. Right? The difference between already and yet.
That's right. Good catch. Like, I've already figured it out. Using already because the action is complete and there's a result. Now you understand it.
Versus I haven't figured it out yet. Using yet because it's something not completed up to this present moment.
Exactly. A neat little grammar point tied directly to a super common phrase. Simple but crucial difference.
Okay, let's pick out a few more that add a bit more, flavor or imagery. Rest on your laurels.
Ooh, good one. Rest on your laurels. This means you become complacent, you stop trying hard because you're satisfied with your past successes.
Like you won something and now you're just kicking back.
Pretty much. The image comes from ancient Greek and Roman victors who were awarded laurel wreaths. So resting on your laurels is like you're just admiring your old trophies instead of striving for new achievements. Don't get complacent.
Connects the history right to the meaning. I like that. Okay, simpler one. Go out for a bit.
Straightforward. Go out means to leave a place, usually your home or office, temporarily. And for a bit just means for a short period of time.
So just a casual way to say, I'll be back soon.
Exactly. Just popping out for a bit.
Now, if you want to ask someone about their interests, but in a relaxed, friendly way.
What are you into? That's a fantastic, open-ended, casual question. You're asking about their hobbies, their passions, what they enjoy doing in their free time. Much better than just, what are your hobbies? sometime.
Yeah, feels less like an interview question. Okay, and what about signaling that you've discovered something surprising?
Turns out, that's your phrase, turns out it's a really handy way to introduce information that was unexpected or something you just found out.
Like, I thought the meeting was canceled, but turns out it's still on.
Exactly. And the source notes, you can often drop the it in spoken English. Just start with turns out.
Right.
Like, turns out he knew my cousin.
Nice shortcut. Okay, let's maybe grab a couple more idioms that show different kinds of nuances. Rub off on someone.
Yeah. This describes how a quality, maybe a habit or an attitude, from one person can kind of transfer to another person just through being around them a lot, influenced by association.
Like her enthusiasm really rubbed off on the whole team.
Perfect example. It's usually about positive qualities, but could be negative too, I suppose.
Which contrasts nicely with the negative one, rubs me the wrong way.
Right. If something or someone rubs you the wrong way, it means their personality or maybe something specific they do or say just irritates you, annoys you. It gives you a slightly negative feeling even if you can't always pinpoint why.
Doesn't mean you hate them, just something bothers you.
Exactly. It's about that feeling of friction or irritation.
Okay. And if you have a strong feeling about something but no real proof?
Had a hunch, or I have a hunch. It refers to an intuitive feeling, a gut instinct, a suspicion that something is true or is going to happen, even without concrete evidence.
I had a hunch you'd say that.
Yep, that kind of thing.
Let's look at one related to being prepared or finished. Are you all set?
Oh, that's a super versatile and common question. Are you all set? Just means, are you ready? Do you have everything you need? Are you finished?
You hear it everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Restaurants, shops, before starting a meeting.
All the time. All set. Yep, all set. Very standard exchange.
Okay. How about if something didn't begin well?
You could say it got off to a rocky start.
Rocky start.
Yeah, the structure get off to a start is quite common. Rocky here implies it was difficult, unstable, problematic right from the beginning. Things weren't smooth initially.
Our project got off to a rocky start, but it's better now.
Perfect. And if you're feeling overwhelmed with tasks, got a lot on my plate, or I've got a lot on my plate. Very common idiom to express that you're extremely busy, juggling many responsibilities or tasks.
Like your plate is overflowing with things you have to deal with.
That's the image. Yeah.
Okay, look, the source has, a huge list of these idioms and phrasal verbs. We could be here all day just listing them.
We really could. It's quite comprehensive.
But I think the real power of this section in the source isn't just memorizing definitions, right? It's realizing how many of these expressions exist and how incredibly frequently native speakers use them.
Absolutely. The goal isn't just rote memorization. It's recognizing that mastering these idiomatic expressions is fundamental to achieving conversational fluency and, just as importantly, deep comprehension.
They really are the color and the texture of everyday English, aren't they?
They are. The source provides many, many more, covering all sorts of things: actions, relationships, feelings, abstract ideas.
Just scanning the list, I see things like action phrases, taking up a hobby.
Nailed down, meaning confirmed something for sure.
Dodge, like dodging calls, meaning avoiding someone.
Put up with, which means tolerate something unpleasant.
Bounce back, recover quickly from a setback.
And then there are loads of phrasal verbs involving movement or direction. Things like keep up with, meaning stay at the same pace.
Drop in, visit someone informally.
Push back, like postpone a deadline.
Get around, like how do you travel in a city?
Put off, meaning procrastinate or delay doing something.
Take off, like a plane leaving or a career becoming successful quickly.
Take after, meaning resemble a relative.
Take apart, disassemble something.
Take over, assume control.
Take someone out, like invite them somewhere and pay.
Get into trouble, get behind someone, meaning support them. And that classic point of confusion.
Let me guess. Get on versus get in.
You got it. Get on off versus get out of. A perennial favorite for causing mistakes.
The source clarifies the rule, though, doesn't it? What's the general guideline again?
The general rule is you get on and get off larger forms of public transport where you can typically stand up and walk around. So buses, trains, planes, large boats, ferries.
Okay, on and off for big things you walk onto.
Right. And you get in and get out of smaller, more enclosed spaces that you usually step down into or have to bend to enter. Think cars, taxis, small boats, sometimes even buildings.
Got it. In and out of cars and taxis, on and off buses and trains. Getting that distinction right is one of those small things that really makes you sound more natural.
It definitely helps avoid common errors. The source also lists more idioms using get because get is just everywhere in phrasal verbs.
Oh, yeah. Like get out of something, meaning avoid an obligation.
Right. Or get together, meaning meet socially.
Get up to no good, like kids being mischievous.
And get across, meaning communicate an idea effectively.
So looking at this massive list in the source, the key insight really is that these phrases, these idioms and phrasal verbs, they aren't just optional extras.
Not at all. They're the core vocabulary you need to navigate everyday English conversation and understand native speakers.
Don't be intimidated by how many there are, right? The advice is probably to focus on recognizing them first when you hear them.
Exactly. Recognize them, understand the context, and then gradually start trying to incorporate the most common ones into your own speech. They're high frequency for a reason. They're the language of daily life.
They really are kind of the secret handshake of fluent speakers, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay, so shifting gears a little bit from these specific expressions, let's look at what the source says about more general casual English and also some specific grammar points that can, refine your communication, make it smoother.
Right. Moving towards language that feels a bit more relaxed, more fluent, and also ironing out some of those common grammatical wrinkles that can trip people up.
Okay, so the source lists several handy casual phrases. First one, hit the books.
Means to start studying seriously, usually for exams or a big project. Pretty common student slang, but used more widely too.
Got it. Simple admission of fault. My bad.
Super informal. Just means, oops, my mistake, or sorry about that. Quick and easy way to take responsibility for something small.
And those phrases for saying something isn't a problem. Like, no worries.
No worries, no big deal, or even shorter, no biggie. Very, very common responses to thank you or when someone apologizes for something minor. Just means, it's okay, don't worry about it.
If you strongly agree with someone,
you might just say 100%.
like absolutely, totally agree.
Exactly. It's an emphatic way to show complete agreement.
Expressing strong interest in something casually.
I'm really into hiking, or I'm really into jazz music. A very natural way to share your passions or hobbies.
And this is a modern one.
Yeah.
Using brand names as verbs.
Oh, yeah. Like, let's Uber it instead of let's take an Uber, or just Google it.
Super common now. Shows how language evolves with technology and culture.
It really does. How about expressing surprise or disbelief?
The source suggests that's wild.
Yeah, similar to saying that's crazy or wow, that's unbelievable, just expressing strong surprise.
Okay. Giving permission informally. Like if someone asks, can I ask you something?
You might just reply, shoot.
Shoot, meaning go ahead, ask your question.
Yep. Very informal, very common.
And one more, sending something electronically. Can you flip me the invite?
Using flip in that context is pretty modern, informal slang for send or forward, usually an email or electronic file. Flip me the details.
Interesting. These casual phrases, they're like quick wins, aren't they? Easy ways to make your spoken English sound a bit more natural and relaxed.
Definitely. They grease the wheels of conversation. Now, for the grammar points, the source highlights. First, it revisits already versus yet.
Right, we touched on this with figure it out. What's the main reinforcement here?
Just hammering home that already is generally used in positive statements about actions that are completed, often implying a present result.
I've already eaten.
And yet is typically for negative statements. I haven't eaten yet. And questions, have you eaten yet? Referring to something expected but not happened up to now.
Exactly. Simple rule, but a very common area for mistakes. Getting it right makes a difference.
Okay. The source also gives a quick, helpful overview of modal verbs. Those can be tricky.
They can. It runs through the main functions quickly. Can for ability, permission, possibility. Could for polite request, possibility, past ability.
May for more formal permission, also possibility. Might, usually for possibility, often seen as a bit weaker or less certain than may or could. Right. And then should and ought to for giving advice or suggestions. The source notes ought to is a bit less common nowadays. Maybe sounds slightly old-fashioned to some.
And will and would for requests. With would generally being the more polite option. Would you mind?
But the real value, I think, comes when the source shows these modals being used in practical, relatable situations for giving advice.
Yeah, the examples were good. Like using must for deduction. He missed the meeting, he must be sick. Or strong obligation.
Or have to for necessity. I have to finish this report today. Should, for straightforward advice, you look tired, you should get some rest.
And using those conditional structures for hypothetical advice, that's really useful. Like, if I were you, I would talk to the manager. That's the second conditional, right? For unlikely or imaginary situations.
Exactly. Or if I had enough money, I would buy that car. Again, second conditional. These examples show how modals aren't just abstract grammar rules. They're tools we use constantly for negotiating, advising, speculating, everyday interactions.
It definitely makes them seem more practical. Okay, the source then zooms in on verbs we use for recommendations and suggestions. Specifically, recommend, suggest, and advise.
Right. And it points out the two main grammatical patterns you use after these verbs.
Okay, what are they?
First, you can follow them with a gerund. That's the verb ending in, used like a noun. I recommend trying the seafood paella. I suggest booking tickets in advance.
Okay, recommend doing something, suggest doing something. Got it.
The second pattern is you can follow them with a full clause, usually involving a subject and a verb, often with the word that included, though it can sometimes be omitted in casual speech.
Like, I recommend that you try the paella. Or just, I recommend you try the paella.
Exactly. I suggest that we leave early. Recognizing these two patterns, gerund or clause, helps you structure your recommendations correctly and sound natural.
Useful patterns to know. And related to advice, there's a quick but really important note about the noun advice.
Ah, yes, the classic mistake. What is it?
Advice is uncountable. You cannot make it plural. You can't say advices.
Yeah.
Never, ever say advices. It's a guaranteed error.
Right. You have to say some advice, or if you want to count it, use a phrase like a piece of advice or two pieces of advice.
Good point to emphasize. Also, the source briefly clarifies the difference between on time and in time.
Okay, quickly, what's the difference?
On time means exactly at the scheduled or expected time. Punctual. The meeting started on time at 9 a.m.
Okay, and in time?
In time means before a deadline, or early enough to do something, or just before the last possible moment. We got to the airport just in time to catch our flight. You weren't late, you made it.
Got it. On time, punctual. In time, early enough. Makes sense. The source also digs into how we use the word all.
It notes that when you're talking about specified groups, you can often say either all of the students, or more commonly in casual speech, just all the students.
So all the students pass the exam is fine. Generally, yes, especially in spoken English. The source does mention that using of all of the students is always grammatically safe and maybe slightly more formal or emphatic. All the is very common, though.
But there's a big exception, a place where you must use of.
Yes, with pronouns. If all is followed by a pronoun like us, them, you, it, etc., you absolutely must use of.
So all of us, all of them, all of you.
Correct. You cannot say all us or all them. That's a definite grammatical error. All of us are going.
Okay, that's a really important rule to remember. All of before pronouns. Finally, for these grammar notes, the source clarifies the specific usage of the phrase up to when it means doing.
Right, like asking, what are you up to this weekend? Meaning, what are you doing?
So how is its usage specific?
The source explains that this meaning of up to is generally used in questions, what were you up to? And negative statements, I wasn't up to much, meaning I wasn't doing much.
Ah, so you wouldn't typically use it in a positive statement. You wouldn't say, I was up to watching a movie.
Exactly. That sounds unnatural. You just say, I was watching a movie. So up to, meaning doing, is mostly for questions and negatives.
Okay, that's a subtle but useful distinction. Phew, that wraps up the grammar notes from the source. For you listening, these points really tackle common areas of confusion or provide simple structures that can make your English sound more polished, more natural.
They're definitely actionable insights pulled straight from the material you sent, little tweaks for accuracy and fluency.
Definitely. Okay, now let's shift our focus again. We're going to look at those two news articles that were embedded in the source material. They were used as examples in the language lesson, right?
Right, to illustrate vocabulary or concepts.
But they also contain interesting information in their own right. So let's just quickly extract the core story from each one. It's a good way to see the language we've been talking about actually being used in context.
Sounds good. The first article was about Canada's population. What was the headline news there?
Canada hit 40 million people, which is, a pretty big milestone for Canada. The article highlighted the growth rate, didn't it?
It did. It mentioned a 2.7% annual growth rate. And it put that in context, saying it was the highest annual growth rate since 1957.
Wow, 1957. That's right in the middle of the post-war baby boom.
Exactly. So it gives you a sense of how significant that 2.7% rate is historically.
The article also included some projections looking forward.
Yeah, it noted Canada reached 30 million back in 97, and based on current trends, it could hit 50 million as early as 2043.
As early as that phrase suggesting the soonest possible estimate, right? A projection, not a certainty.
Precisely. And it mentioned a record increase just in the previous year.
A huge number, wasn't it? Over 1 million people.
1.05 million people added in just 1 year. A record.
And the main driver, the overwhelming reason for that huge increase.
International migration. The article stated it accounted for, get this, 96% of the population increase.
96%. That is staggering. That figure alone just shows how much Canada relies on immigration for growth.
Absolutely, and it includes both permanent immigrants and temporary residents, like students and workers. The article mentioned Canada welcomed over 437,000 permanent immigrants in 2022 alone.
And the article explained why there's such a focus on immigration, didn't it? It's not just about numbers.
No, it's strategic. The article directly links it to tackling Canada's demographic challenges, specifically an aging population, all the baby boomers reaching retirement age, and coupled with that, a low birth rate domestically.
So immigration is seen as essential to keep the population growing, yes, but also critically to keep the workforce strong, filling jobs, supporting the economy as the older generation retires.
Exactly. The article explicitly says immigration accounts for almost 100% of Canada's labor force growth currently. That's how vital it is to the economy.
And there was one more projection about the proportion of immigrants in the population.
Yeah, it projected that immigrants could make up something like 30% of Canada's total population by 2023. We noted the date might be a typo in the source or refer to the end of that year, but the point remains.
The point is a significant demographic shift, with a much larger percentage of the population being immigrants compared to the past.
Definitely. So, quick summary for the Canada article. Rapid population growth hitting 40 million, fueled overwhelmingly by international migration, 96% of recent growth, which is strategically vital for the economy and workforce due to an aging population and low birth rates.
A very clear picture painted by that article. Okay, now let's hop over to Rome, the Colosseum.
The central question in that piece was about its condition, right? Using the word crumbling.
Yeah, is the Colosseum crumbling? And the source even defined crumbling for clarity, breaking into small pieces. Creates a vivid, slightly alarming image.
It does. The article sets the scene, describing the Colosseum, iconic site, one of the world's most famous landmarks, a new seven wonder of the world.
Right. Biggest ancient amphitheater ever built. Completed way back in 80 AD, over 2 millennia ago. Famous for gladiators, Roman history, all that stuff. And the scale is just mind-boggling. Held 50,000 people, covered 6 acres, used over 1 million tons of materials. Just an incredible feat of engineering for its time.
Truly staggering. So these reports of it crumbling, where did they come from, according to the article?
It seems they stem from observations of, basically, bits of rock falling off, little pieces of stone.
Okay, so not huge chunks collapsing.
Doesn't sound like it from the article.
Yeah.
And it mentions a theory put forward by an environmental group about potential causes.
Right. They suggested that maybe exhaust fumes from nearby traffic and vibrations from cars and the subway line that runs close by might be contributing to the deterioration.
Which brings up that classic dilemma for ancient sites in modern cities, doesn't it? How do you protect them from the impacts of modern life, traffic, tourism?
It's a constant balancing act, accessibility versus preservation. But the article then gives the official response from the Colosseum's director.
Yes, and what was her take?
She denied the reports that it was crumbling. The word used was denied, meaning she stated they weren't true.
Okay, so what was her explanation for the falling stones?
Her explanation, as reported, was basically that, yes, small stones do fall sometimes, but it's just natural wear and tear. Stuff caused by rain, wind, birds nesting, the effects of time on an ancient structure.
So she saw it as minor damage needing regular maintenance, not a sign of a major structural problem.
Exactly. The article quotes her making an analogy. She compared it to teeth needing fillings sometimes.
Ah, okay. Like getting a filling doesn't mean your whole tooth is about to collapse. It's just necessary upkeep.
That was the idea. A relatable way to frame it as maintenance, not impending disaster.
Makes sense. The article also did a nice job of capturing the symbolic meaning of the Colosseum, didn't it? Beyond just the physical structure.
It really did. It talked about how its history represents both the incredible power and brilliance of the Roman Empire.
Using words like sheer power, sheer as an intensifier there, calling it marvels to behold, things to admire.
But then it pivots very sharply to the brutality. The systematic killing that took place there, hundreds of thousands of people and animals losing their lives for entertainment.
Yeah, it uses the phrase, bears a grim reminder. Grim, meaning unpleasant, serious, a reminder of that cruelty.
And it says that cruelty is core to its history, like fundamental, inseparable from what the Colosseum represents. It's not just an architectural wonder, it's also a monument to that darker side.
It's a really stark contrast, isn't it? This magnificent structure built for essentially mass entertainment through violence.
Gives you a lot to think about. So, summarizing the Colosseum article, reports of crumbling seem linked to minor stone falls. The director denies structural issues, attributing it to natural wear and tear requiring maintenance. And the site itself stands as a powerful symbol of both Roman architectural genius and its profound brutality.
Seeing how the language is used in these real-world articles definitely helps bring the facts and the interpretations to life. It shows how specific word choices really shape the story being told.
Absolutely. And the source, remember, also pulled out some specific advanced vocabulary from these articles just to highlight how certain words add precision or formality.
Right, words like surpass, used for the population numbers, sounding a bit more formal than just exceeds.
Emerge, like a structural problem might emerge, suggesting it appears gradually. Constitutes, like migration constitutes the growth, meaning it makes it up, emphasizing its key role.
Incessantly, meaning without stopping, like a debate might go on incessantly. Inevitably, meaning it can't be avoided, like growth inevitably leads to new demands.
Disparities, meaning inequalities. Resilience, like the Colosseum showing resilience, its ability to withstand time and damage. Controversy, for the disagreement about the falling rocks.
Vast, describing Canada's landscape. Ancient, for the Colosseum. Ubiquitous, meaning found everywhere, which maybe relates more generally to information access today.
These words, often considered C1 level or higher, they definitely add a layer of sophistication and precision to the reporting. Understanding them lets you grasp the full nuance of the text.
Okay, fantastic. So we've covered tuning the ear, we've navigated a sea of idioms and phrasal verbs, we've looked at casual English, polished up some grammar points, extracted the core info from those news stories. Now, let's dive into a section that I think many learners find challenging, but it's incredibly valuable.
What's that?
Decoding tricky words. You know, those words that are really easy to misuse, maybe even native speakers get them wrong sometimes. Understanding their actual meaning adds so much precision to your language.
Ah, yes, the common pitfalls. This section in the source is really insightful because it doesn't just give definitions. It focuses on clarifying those common misconceptions.
Exactly, and it starts with a specific category of tricky words.
Homographs.
Homographs.
Yeah,
Words that are spelled the same.
but pronounced differently and have different meanings. Classic recipe for confusion.
Totally. You absolutely need the context or you need to hear the word spoken to know which meaning is intended. The source lists several pairs. For example, B-O-W. Right. It can be pronounced bow, rhyming with go. That's the verb meaning to bend at the waist, like showing respect.
And it can be pronounced bow, rhyming with now, or cow. That's the noun, like a decorative knot on a present or what you shoot arrows with.
Same spelling, totally different sound, totally different meaning. Okay, L-E-A-D is another one.
Yep. Pronounced lead, rhyming with need. That's the verb meaning to guide, to be in charge, to go first.
And pronounced lead, rhyming with bed. That's the heavy metal.
Okay.
P-B on the periodic table.
Got it. T-E-A-R gives us.
Tear, rhyming with hear or fear. That's the noun, the drop of water from your eye when you cry.
Versus tear, rhyming with hair or bear. That's the verb meaning to rip something like paper.
W-I-N-D.
Can be wind, rhyming with send. That's the noun, moving air.
Or wind, rhyming with find. That's the verb meaning to turn or coil something, like winding a clock or a string.
And M-I-N-U-T-E. This one depends on stress.
Right. Stress on the first syllable, M-I-N-U-T. That's the unit of time, 60 seconds.
Stress on the second syllable, minute. That's the adjective, meaning very, very small. Tiny.
So minute versus minute. Wow. The source lists a few others too, right? Like desert, desert, live, live, read, read, close, close, content.
Yeah, the list goes on. But the key takeaway from the homograph section is simply be aware. Seeing the word written down isn't always enough. Context is king, or hearing the pronunciation.
Absolutely crucial. Okay, now let's tackle those words that aren't necessarily homographs, but are just, well, often misused in terms of their actual meaning. The source clarifies several common ones at an intermediate level first, starting with maybe the most famously misused word of all, literally.
Oh, literally, yes. It's so often used just for emphasis, isn't it? In a figurative way, like, I was literally dying laughing.
Right, but It's correct. Original meaning is actually, factually, without exaggeration.
So if you say the house was literally underwater, you mean it was actually flooded, not just that you felt overwhelmed by housework.
Exactly. And the source implies that using it correctly maintains the word's power and ensures clarity, especially important in a world full of potential misinformation. Precision matters.
Good point. Next up, unique. This is another one I hear misused constantly.
So.
Well, unique means one of a kind, the only one like it, inherently special. But people often modify it, saying things like very unique or quite unique.
Ah, right. Like the source points out, if something is unique, it's already one of a kind. You can't be very one of a kind. It's an absolute quality.
Exactly. It doesn't need qualifiers like very or quite. Unique stands alone. Understanding that helps avoid redundancy.
Makes perfect sense. Okay, let's revisit irony. We mentioned it briefly before, but the source digs a bit deeper into what true irony actually is, setting it apart from just coincidence or plain bad luck.
Right. As the source implies, the example of winning the lottery and then immediately getting hit by a car. That's tragic, it's terrible luck, but it's not necessarily ironic.
So what makes something truly ironic, according to the source?
It usually involves some kind of contrast or incongruity between what's expected and what actually happens, or saying the opposite of what you mean. That's verbal irony. There's often an element of the absurd or an unexpected twist that highlights a contradiction.
So it's more specific than just something bad happened. It's about situations that have a layer of unexpectedness or contradiction.
Precisely. It captures a specific kind of absurdity or twist of fate. Now let's look at alibi.
Okay. I definitely hear alibi used very loosely just to mean any kind of excuse, like I didn't finish the report, but I have a good alibi and my computer crashed.
Yeah, that's the common misuse. But the source clarifies that alibi has a very specific legal meaning.
Which is?
An alibi is proof that someone was physically somewhere else at the exact time a crime was committed. It's a defense used in criminal law.
So it's specifically tied to proving your location during a crime, not just any old excuse for why you didn't do something.
Exactly. Using it outside that specific legal context really dilutes its precise meaning. Okay, another tricky pair. Disinterested.
Yeah. People often use disinterested when they actually mean uninterested, right? Like bored. I was completely disinterested in the movie.
That's the common confusion. But disinterested actually means impartial, unbiased, having no personal stake or potential gain in a situation. Neutral.
So, a judge presiding over a court case needs to be disinterested, meaning they shouldn't be biased or have any personal connection that could influence their decision.
Perfect example. They need to be neutral and objective. If you're bored by a movie, you're uninterested. The distinction is subtle but important. Disinterested implies objectivity, not apathy or lack of care.
That's a really valuable distinction for clear communication. Okay, how about bemused? This isn't a word I hear every day, but the source flags it as potentially tricky.
It does, and the likely confusion the source suggests is that people might think it means amused or entertained, like, I was bemused by his funny stories.
But that's not right. What does bemused actually mean?
It means puzzled, bewildered, or slightly confused, often in a detached or thoughtful way. Ah, okay. So it's more like a state of mild perplexity. You're not necessarily laughing. You're more like, wait, what just happened there? Or, that's odd.
Exactly. It's a richer word than just amused. It captures that feeling of maybe fascinated confusion, like when you watch a magic trick and you're impressed, but also thinking, how do they do that?
That paints a really clear picture. Okay, finally for this intermediate batch, the word enormity.
Enormity, often used just to mean great size or vastness, right? Like we were overwhelmed by the enormity of the task.
Yeah, seems common. But the source points out that's not its primary meaning.
Correct. Its core meaning relates more to extreme wickedness, outrageousness, or the grave seriousness of something, often in a moral or ethical context.
So you'd more accurately speak of the enormity of a horrific crime or the enormity of the decision to go to war, emphasizing the moral weight and negative consequences rather than just how physically big something is. Precisely. While it can sometimes imply large scope, its primary association is with profound gravity, often negative or morally significant. It carries a lot more weight than just bigness.
Wow. Okay, these examples really show how understanding the true meaning, the nuances of these commonly misused words. It's not just about being picky with grammar. It prevents miscommunication, adds clarity, and makes your own language more precise and impactful.
It really does. It elevates your communication. And the source doesn't stop there. It then moves on to tackle some even more advanced words and also some broader concepts about language itself.
Right, leveling up the vocabulary game even further, and also looking at the bigger picture of how language functions. Let's start with those advanced words that are often misused. First one on the list, decimate.
Decimate. Very common to hear this used as meaning totally destroy, completely wipe out. The town was decimated by the hurricane.
But the source reminds us of its original meaning, from Roman history.
Exactly. Originally, to decimate a legion meant to kill 1 out of every 10 soldiers as a punishment, a reduction by 1/10.
1/10. That's very different from total destruction.
Very different. Now, the meaning has certainly evolved, and today it does mean to cause severe damage or kill a large proportion of something, but usually it still implies a severe reduction, not necessarily complete annihilation. Understanding its origin adds a layer, showing language carries history.
Interesting. Okay, next advanced tricky word, peruse.
Peruse. People often use this informally to mean skim quickly, glance over. I'll just peruse these notes before the meeting.
But its actual dictionary meaning is the opposite, right?
Pretty much. To peruse actually means to read something thoroughly and carefully, to examine it closely and attentively.
So if your boss tells you to peruse a report, they probably mean study it carefully, not just give it a quick look.
That would be the formal meaning, yes. It implies careful attention despite the common casual misuse. Good to be aware of the formal definition.
Definitely. How about nonplus? Nonplus.
This one is less common, maybe, but as the source notes, often misused when it does appear. What's the core meaning clarified in the source?
My understanding from the notes is that to be nonplussed means to be in a state of being so surprised and confused that you're unsure how to react or speak. Utterly bewildered.
That's the key. It's not just mild confusion. It's being completely taken aback, caught off guard, perhaps momentarily speechless because you just don't know what to make of a situation.
Like that deer in the headlights feeling, but driven by surprise and confusion rather than just fear.
That's a good analogy. It's that momentary loss of composure due to bewilderment, a very specific state.
Okay. Next, plethora.
Plethora. I often hear this used simply to mean a lot of something, usually positive. We have a plethora of choices.
And that's generally okay, right? But the source adds a nuance.
Yes. While it does mean an abundance or a large quantity, its original meaning, and often its subtle connotation today, implies an excessive or even overwhelming amount. Sometimes, too much of a good thing.
So a plethora of options might subtly suggest there are so many options it's actually difficult to choose, not just that there's a good wide selection.
Exactly. It can carry that nuance of excess or being slightly overwhelmed by the sheer number. It adds a layer of sophistication beyond just saying a lot.
Got it. Now, factoid.
Factoid. My first thought is like a small, interesting, perhaps trivial piece of factual information, like pub quiz trivia.
That's definitely the common usage today. But the source reminds us of its origin, doesn't it? It was a coined term.
Right. And its original meaning, when coined by Norman Mailer, was something that looks like a fact, is presented as a fact, but is actually false or unsubstantiated. Something created by the media, perhaps.
Wow. So its original meaning was almost the opposite of what we think now. It implied skepticism or doubt about the information's truthfulness.
Pretty much. Language evolves, obviously, and most people using factoid today mean a small fact. But knowing its origin is fascinating. And maybe, as the source hints, if you're unsure about the accuracy of a piece of info, calling it a tidbit or piece of trivia might be safer than using factoid, given its history.
That's a really interesting example of how word meanings can drift. Okay, finally, in this advanced tricky words section, a pair that is absolutely fundamental to get right for clear communication. Infer versus imply.
Oh, yes. Crucial distinction. People mix these up all the time.
So what's the difference again, according to the source?
To imply is something the speaker or writer does. They suggest or hint at a meaning without stating it directly. They put the suggestion in.
Okay, the speaker implies and infer.
To infer is something the listener or reader does. They draw a conclusion or deduce a meaning based on the evidence or what was implied. They take the meaning out.
So the writer implies, the reader infers. The speaker implies, the listener infers.
Exactly. It's a two-way street, a subtle dance of communication. Misusing these terms can lead directly to confusion about who is suggesting what and who is concluding what. Mastering this is pretty essential for navigating conversations and texts accurately.
Absolutely. These advanced words, understanding their precise meanings, their histories even, it really sharpens your ability to understand complex ideas and express yourself with accuracy.
It makes you a more critical reader and listener and a more precise speaker and writer. And beyond these specific words, the source also touches on some broader language concepts, which are really illuminating.
It does, moving beyond individual words to the bigger picture of how language works. Concepts like etymology.
Right, the study of word origins and how their meanings have evolved over time, like being a language detective.
We kind of did that with Decimate and Factoid, uncovering the history hidden inside words. The source mentions quixotic, coming from Don Quixote as another example, adds so much depth.
It really does. And then there's the fundamental role of grammar and syntax.
Basically, how we arrange words into sentences to create meaning. The structure of language.
The source uses the analogy of building a house. Words are the bricks, but grammar and syntax are the essential structure, the blueprint, that holds it all together and makes it function effectively to convey complex ideas.
Good analogy. Then, ambiguity.
The quality of being open to more than one interpretation. The source notes this can sometimes be used deliberately, like in poetry or humor, but often, if unintended, it's just a source of confusion.
Clarity is usually key. Okay, connotation versus denotation.
Also crucial, denotation is the literal dictionary definition of a word.
And connotation.
Connotation refers to the associated feelings, ideas, cultural implications, or emotional baggage that a word carries beyond its literal meaning. Word choice based on connotation has a huge impact on the tone and the message received.
Yeah, choosing between determined and stubborn, for example. Similar denotation, very different connotation.
Exactly. And finally, the source touches on a really big idea: linguistic relativity.
Sometimes called the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, right? The idea that the language we speak actually influences how we think and perceive reality.
That's the core concept, that different languages, with their different structures and vocabularies, might lead speakers to categorize the world or even experience certain concepts differently, a fascinating and complex area.
It really makes you think about the profound connection between language and thought. So these broader concepts, etymology, syntax, ambiguity, connotation, linguistic relativity, they take you beyond just learning vocabulary. They encourage you to think about the power, the structure, and the very nature of language itself.
And for you, listening, engaging with these ideas can really elevate your understanding of English or any language, from just a tool for communication to a complex system that shapes how we interact with and understand the world.
Absolutely. Okay, wow. We have covered a huge amount of ground. We've tuned our ears to spoken sounds, navigated tons of idioms, polished grammar, pulled info from news stories, decoded tricky words from intermediate all the way to advanced, and even explored these big concepts about language.
It's been a comprehensive dive.
But knowing all this language isn't quite enough, is it? If you can't actually use it effectively in real-world situations with other people. So the final section of the source material is incredibly practical. It offers concrete strategies for navigating conversations, specifically tackling small talk and networking.
Ah, yes, the practical application. This is where the rubber really meets the road, as they say. Because let's face it, small talk, it can be incredibly daunting for language learners.
Oh, definitely. The source acknowledges that feeling the awkwardness, your mind just going totally blank.
That fear of saying the wrong thing, making a mistake.
But the source frames it in a really helpful way, I think. It says, small talk is a skill.
Exactly. It's not some innate talent you're either born with or not. It's like playing an instrument or learning a sport. It's something you can learn, practice, and get better at over time.
And realizing that everyone, even confident native speakers, feels awkward sometimes. That helps take the pressure off, doesn't it?
It really does. The fear of making mistakes is totally normal. But the goal isn't grammatical perfection in these situations. It's connection. It's understanding and building confidence. Finding that balance between trying to be accurate and just keeping the conversation flowing. And a key point the source makes for getting better is focusing on output. You have to actually use the language.
Right. It's not enough to just passively understand English. You need to actively speak it, write it. That's where the real learning and confidence building happens.
It can feel scary at first, pushing yourself to speak, but it genuinely gets easier with practice. The source suggests some simple ways to practice, too.
Like what?
Things like recording yourself speaking, maybe joining an online speaking group or language exchange, or just making a small, consistent effort to talk to people, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes a day. Something manageable.
Consistency over intensity. Makes sense. And to make those initial interactions less scary, The source provides actual frameworks, like blueprints for conversation. For general social settings, it introduces the START framework.
Start. Okay, sounds like a good place to begin. What's the breakdown? START.
Right. It's designed to break the ice, make introductions smoother. S is for smile.
Simple but powerful. Makes you seem approachable, friendly. Good start.
T is for take turns. Crucial reminder. Conversation is a two-way street. Don't monologue.
Listen as much as you talk. Got it. A.
A is for ask questions. And the source really emphasizes asking good questions, questions that genuinely spark conversation, not just the standard, sometimes boring ones like, where are you from, or what do you do,
Yeah.
although those have their place.
Right, those can sometimes feel a bit like an interrogation, if that's all you ask. What are some better examples from the source?
Things like, what do you like to do for fun? It's a classic for a reason people generally enjoy talking about their interests.
Or more topical questions like, any big plans this summer? Or, how's the weather been treating you lately? Easy, low-pressure conversation starters.
And that other one, what were you up to earlier?
Mm-hmm.
Use that up to phrase we discussed, meaning doing, connects to the immediate context.
Good examples. Okay, R in start.
R is for respond. Actively listen to what the other person says and respond thoughtfully. Show genuine interest. Ask follow-up questions based on their answers.
Engagement. Makes sense. And the final T.
The final T is turn it back. This is vital. After you've shared something about yourself, turn the conversation back to the other person with a question. Don't just leave it hanging after your answer. Ask about their experience related to the topic. Keep the ball rolling back to them.
Okay, so smile, take turns, ask questions, respond, turn it back, start. That seems like a really clear, actionable flow.
It is. And the source then drills down into specific topics you can use within that framework, tying them to the T, A, and R components.
Ah, right. T is for territory, meaning where you're from, where you live now.
Yeah, you can share. I'm originally from.
Yeah.
I've been living in the city for X years. And ask, where are you from originally? How long have you lived here?
A is for activity. This covers work and hobbies. So you share. I'm a job title. I work for company I specialize in. Or for hobbies. I'm an avid hobbyist. I love to verb. I spend my free time doing X. And the source advises expanding a bit, not just giving one-word answers.
Right. Give them something to respond to.
Hmm.
And ask, what do you do? What kind of work is that?
Yeah.
What are you into outside of work?
R is for reason. Why are you both at this specific event or place? What's your connection?
Finding common ground.
Yeah.
I know host's name from work. I went to school with a bride. I'm here with a friend who...
Exactly. And ask, how do you know host person? What brings you here tonight? It establishes that shared context immediately.
And then always remembering that final T. Turn it back. End your share with a question directed at them about their territory, activity, or reason.
That START framework with the TAR topics, it really provides a solid, practical roadmap for navigating those potentially awkward first few minutes of social interaction. Takes away a lot of the anxiety.
It really does. Removes the guesswork. Now, for more formal situations like professional settings, conferences, networking events, the source offers a different framework. Impact T.
Impact T. Okay, sounds more business-focused, which makes sense. Let's break that one down. I.
I is for identity, your professional identity. Name, title, maybe years of experience, area of specialization.
Right. Crisp introduction. Phrases like, I'm name, a title with over X years of experience in field, or I specialize in.
M is for motivation. What drives you professionally? What are you passionate about in your work or industry?
Shows a bit more personality I've always had a passion for. I'm really interested in the potential of technology area, too.
P is for projects. What are you currently working on? Be specific but brief.
Give concrete examples. Currently, I'm leading a project focused on. My main focus right now is designing. Makes your work tangible.
A is for aspirations. What are your goals, especially related to this event or your career path? What are you hoping to achieve by being there?
Sets context for the interaction. My goal here today is to connect with experts in. I'm hoping to learn more about. My long-term goal is to.
C is for connection. Find common ground with the person you're talking to. Reference something specific if you can.
Yeah, maybe something they said in a presentation or a shared contact. It's great to meet you. I really enjoyed your point about X. Or simply ask about their focus.
And the final T in impact.
Takeaway or next step. What's the desired outcome of this brief interaction? Exchange contact information. Schedule a follow-up call. Suggest connecting on LinkedIn.
Make the connection actionable. And, crucially, always end your introduction with a question to engage them. What about you? What area do you primarily focus on? shift the spotlight.
These frameworks, start for social and impact for professional, they are incredibly valuable because they give you structure, they give you specific phrases you can adapt, they make those initial moments of meeting someone new much, much less intimidating.
They really are like having a toolkit, aren't they? Takes the pressure off having to invent everything on the spot. And the source even touches on how to end conversations gracefully, which can also be awkward.
Super important. You don't want to just trail off or vanish. Having a few exit lines ready is key.
The source offers different options depending on the situation, right? From a simple, polite closing.
Like, well, it was really nice talking to you, or great meeting you. Standard, polite, effective.
To maybe suggesting a future connection, if it felt right.
Yeah, something like, hey, we should grab a coffee sometime to chat more about this, or let's connect on LinkedIn. It shows confidence and genuine interest. Leaves a good final impression, even if the coffee never actually happens.
Good point. And for a quicker, more casual exit if you're genuinely needing to leave or running late.
Simple, friendly phrases work best. Anyway, I should probably get going, but catch you later. Or have a great rest of the event day. Keep it light and positive.
So from breaking the ice with start or impact to having polite ways to wrap things up, the source really provides practical, actionable language and strategies for the whole interaction.
It does. It gives you the tools to navigate the social world more confidently.
For you listening, this final section is just pure gold, I think. It's about taking all that language knowledge, the sounds, the idioms, the grammar, and actually putting it into practice in real-world situations. It provides concrete steps and phrases to help turn that theoretical knowledge into practical communication skill and hopefully more confidence.
It really demystifies the art of conversation and gives you a plan you can actually follow.
Okay. Phew. That was quite the journey. We have covered a truly vast landscape in this deep dive. And remember, this was all drawn from that single rich source material you sent in.
We really did cover a lot. We started way back with tuning your ear right, recognizing those reduced sounds, the blended words, the rhythm of actual spoken English.
Then we plunged into that huge ocean of idioms and phrasal verbs, understanding they're not just decoration, they're the core of everyday talk. We highlighted key examples, but acknowledged the sheer volume provided in the source.
We picked up some useful casual English phrases, polished our understanding of essential grammar points, clarifying things like already versus yet, how modals work for advice, those recommendation patterns, and tricky details about words like advice and all.
We did those mini deep dives into the news articles, pulling out the key takeaways about Canada's population boom being fueled by immigration and the Coliseum director's perspective on whether it's truly crumbling, seeing how language choices shape those stories.
And crucially, we spent significant time decoding those tricky words. At the intermediate level, literally, unique, irony, alibi, disinterested, bemused, enormity, clarifying common misuses.
And then leveling up to advanced tricky words, decimate, peruse, nonplus, plethora, factoid, and that vital distinction between infer and imply, understanding their true power and nuance.
And we connected that to broader concepts about language itself, etymology, syntax, ambiguity, connotation, linguistic relativity, thinking about how language works on a deeper level.
And finally, we wrapped up with those incredibly practical frameworks for navigating conversations. The START method for social situations, the impact method for professional networking, plus tips for gracefully ending an interaction.
It really was a comprehensive exploration of the material you provided, pulling out actionable insights across so many different dimensions of learning and using English.
Absolutely. I feel like it delivered on that core mission, giving you a shortcut to understanding the subtleties of spoken English, a shortcut to using more natural expressions, a shortcut to avoiding common pitfalls, a shortcut to grasping complex info, and ultimately a shortcut to feeling more confident when you communicate.
And remember, it's always about the journey, right? Progress, not perfection. Embrace the challenges, notice the steps forward you're making, and try to keep the learning process engaging, maybe even fun.
Well said. Okay, so as we wrap up, here's a final thought for you to maybe mull over, something that builds on everything we've discussed today.
Okay, let's hear it.
Considering the incredible complexity of language that we've seen, the sheer number of idioms, the subtle shades of meaning in tricky words, the way meanings like factoid or decimate can shift over time. How does becoming more aware of the precise meaning and maybe even the history of the words you encounter, how did that change the way you interpret the information you see and hear every single day?
Ooh, interesting question. Does it make you read headlines with a more critical eye? Do you start listening more closely for the connotations, the implied meanings in what people say? Does it make you more aware of the power that specific word choices have in shaping narratives, shaping our perceptions of reality?
Exactly. In our world that's just saturated with information, does that deeper language awareness become a tool for clearer thinking? Something to ponder.
Definitely a lot to think about there, the power and pitfalls of words.
Indeed. Well, first off, a huge thank you for sending in this incredibly rich and detailed source material. It gave us so much to work with for this deep dive.
Yes, thank you. It was a fascinating set of resources. And just as a final practical takeaway for you listening, we really encourage you to pick just one small thing, one specific insight or technique we discussed today.
And actively try to put it into practice this week. Maybe it's using one of those starter impact questions the next time you meet someone new.
Or maybe it's just consciously listening for a specific reduced sound, like the flap T, or trying to spot an idiom when you're watching a show or listening to a podcast in English.
Perhaps you could try using one of those tricky words we clarified. Maybe disinterested, or peruse, or imply correctly in the sentence yourself, either speaking or writing.
Taking that small active step is really where the learning clicks. That's how these insights move from just being information in your head to becoming part of your actual language toolkit.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's where the real progress happens. Well, thanks again for joining us for this deep dive. We genuinely hope it's been useful and valuable for you.
We'll catch you on the next one.